Here we are, out in Fink, having a bit of fun, bit of testing for the week. Waiting for Toby to come through. Should be here soon, I reckon.
This is the story of Toby Price.
Toby won this heat.
No feeling like it. The best feeling in the world.
Craziest feeling in the world.
Speechless. Push my limits.
A man basically born on a motorcycle.
It's addictive. 0 to 100.
Highest gear.
Flat out.
Going flat out.
A man who has had to overcome personal tragedy.
Tobe took it really badly.
Beating himself up. Hard to take. Damn tough.
A man who has come back from horrific injury.
Should have finished him.
The bottom of his brain
Absolute curveball.
and his spinal cord.
Quadriplegic
And there's the injury.
or dead.
And that was it.
A man who now wants to take on the most challenging enduro race in the world.
The most brutal,
Right on edge.
daunting,
Your heart's racing.
dangerous.
The 2016 Dakar Rally.
Starting to get hot.
Watch Pluck a Duck. Toby when he was 5.
You're indicating that our contestant today is a very, very short person. A very short person. Would you welcome, in fact, Toby Price? All right. Toby, where do you live?
Colorado.
And you live on a farm?
Yeah.
At 5-year-old, he just had no fear. That was just what he was like.
You'd like to luck a duck? All right.
Yeah, he just out for adventure all the time.
Growing up in a small country town of Roto, almost 800 kilometres inland from Sydney, it was his elder brother's bike that Toby first discovered at 2.5 years old.
He fell off the first time. He put it back in the shed, and a couple of weeks later he said, "Oh, give me another go at it." So away we went, run beside him, let him go, and he never looked back. He just kept riding.
Tobe was a very adventurous person. As a little kid, he never stayed in the yard. We had a 6-foot fence right round our property, and Tobe learned how to scale that fence.
Out there, we did some pretty wild things. Dad would go and shut the irrigation pump off, and it had, like, pretty much the pipe was big enough to squeeze me in, so they'd start the thing and then shoot me straight out of this pipe.
Most kids would, scare away from that sort of thing, but no, he just absolutely loved it.
Thursday night, we used to watch the football show. Being as I was a country kid, basically once the sun went down, you come in, had dinner and watch some TV.
Dear Fatty, my name is Toby Price. I'm 7 years of age. I race KX60s and need a new bike. It's a waste of time to see you ride it last week, so can you please give me one? Ladies and gentlemen, I think that Paul Vaughton, the megastar that he is, should buy a KX60 for Toby. What do you think?
I was able to win a 98 Australian Junior Long Track Championship on that bike. That was, kind of the start of pretty good things to come.
Geez, I was pretty young when I first saw this little chubby kid riding I reckon it would have been a KX60 at the time. The first time I met Tobes, honestly, was like, who is this slightly chubby, funny-as motocross rider? Tobes is a humble country kid who just likes riding his dirt bike.
It was his first year of national off-road and he won the championship outright with a pretty small Kawasaki satellite team.
Toby won this heat 15 seconds in front of his nearest rival.
Everyone was saying how he's going to be the next world champion.
They don't like new kids coming into the scene and actually beating them, but hopefully do well and stay in there and keep going.
My parents always worked nearly 2 jobs just to be able to buy me bikes and put me out on the track. It was 8 odd hours to any major race. We'd finish racing of a Sunday afternoon. Dad would drive all night. He's back at work at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
He's had many broken bones, of course.
When he broke both his arms and he was in plasters, yet he's out in the shed pulling down the motor in his motorbike.
Toby's passion for life was driven by a close relationship with his sister, who was suffering from a debilitating condition.
When Amanda was born, she was born 15 weeks premature, 30 years ago now, and those babies didn't survive. But she did. She was blind, cerebral palsy, had epilepsy. Things could be expressed, but she couldn't do them, and Toby was that person that would do them for her.
My racing was kind of just kicking off. Things were starting to go the right way, and we were starting to be competitive in enduro and winning races. So, yeah, it was a tough year, 2011, when she passed.
The devastating loss of his sister started a period of emotional turmoil for Toby.
Toby took it really badly, sort of felt that little piece of him was gone.
I just wanted to work at everything I possibly could, get to the finish line of every race, and I guess, yeah, just make her proud.
Dealing with the tragedy, Toby threw himself back into his riding, and the successes on the bike came quickly.
Toby's won every desert, off-road, enduro-cross championship there is to win in Australia.
I've just known two wheels all my life. All I want to do is just go fast on a bike.
Having accomplished everything he could in his homeland, his attention soon turned overseas. On the international stage, one rider shone above all others, enduro legend Kurt Caselli.
Coming from Australia, I always looked up to guys in America and where I wanted to be to go racing there.
Baddest dudes in off-road racing right here, you're looking at him.
Kurt pretty much won everything in the States.
The #1 plate for Kurt Caselli.
Bit of a hero to me.
He carried such speed and just did it with such ease. It was really just amazing to watch. Poetry in motion. And every time he lined up, people expected him to win. The only time he would ever really have issues was if he stopped to help someone. But even when he stopped to help someone, he usually would still win.
After he'd seen a bit of footage of what I was doing at the Fink Desert race, he goes, "I've seen what you've done and I want you on the team." Kind of thought it was a bit of a joke to start with. I thought it was someone just playing a bit of a prank on me.
Some years ago, Kurt Caselli told me, if you ever get the chance to support one rider, you should support Toby Price.
When do you get a chance to go and ride with Kurt Caselli? I said, I'm pumped.
The boy from Roto now found himself in the most dominant enduro team in the world, KTM, riding alongside the people he idolised.
Having his backing like that, he definitely got my chance to go over there and do some racing.
But in the world of enduro, there is one race that dominates all others. The Dakar Rally in South America, setting the ultimate stage for Toby to test himself. Every year, these vast landscapes become the challenging endurance event, the Dakar.
With Dakar, it's a big adventure. Pushes you to your limits, really, and that's what I think draws everybody back.
The Dakar is widely regarded as the world's most dangerous race. Often fatal, the Dakar has claimed 28 lives since it began in the late 70s. 14 race days and 13 special stages can cover multiple countries in a staggering 9,000 kilometre distance.
It's insane to actually be a part of the event, to let alone try and win or be on the podium.
It is the most brutal, the most grueling kind of motorsport that you can get. Just when you think it's done, you've got to get up and repeat the next day.
In the morning, you wake up 3 o'clock, starting 4 o'clock, then you go 300, 400, 500 Ks.
It goes on through countryside that is picturesque, daunting, dangerous. Just to get to the finish line is a massive achievement. To win it, that's mega.
Toby's first attempt at the Dakar was in 2015 when he raced for KTM as a water boy. A skilled support rider whose job it is to provide mechanical aid to the lead contenders at the expense of his own campaign. Toby did his job and then some, helping KTM team captain Mark Comer to victory. And in the process, defying all logic and expectation to step foot on the Dakar podium, third overall.
Pretty much speechless. I don't know, it hasn't quite sunk in yet.
Nobody expected him to be at the podium, honestly. I think it was a surprise for many people. In the end, not a big surprise for me, because I know for what Toby is able to do.
I'm happy we've got a podium position in the first year, but now the pressure's on now to try and back that up. If you enjoy what you do and you're having fun with it, you'll always love doing it. Love that bit of a thrill-seeking adrenaline rush that you get racing a dirt bike. There's no other feeling like it, really.
He makes riding look too easy, like there's no... You just watch it and there's no trick to it. It's kind of like the bumps disappear when he rides through. Like you watch him go through a section and the bike doesn't move, he doesn't move. Everyone else is getting kicked and thrown around.
So I'm speaking to him.
He's not moving too much. He's using his weight a lot. So his traction on the rear wheel is amazing.
Where do I stand? What do I want? Why am I here? Where do I stand? What do I want? Why am I here?
Everyone assumes because he's so fast that his bikes would be tortured. He hops off a bike and you wouldn't even know he rode it.
His mentality, the cool Australian guy who doesn't care about nothing, it's the good and the right way for rally. For me, it's sometimes like, is it wrong? And here, I don't care. It will be good, and it is good.
He's not surprised that I'm sitting in my window, wondering about life while looking in his eyes. So then he goes, oh please, my dear, hold it together.
He's always putting highest gear and he's going flat out.
When I'm top gear and wide open, there's no feeling like it. Turning that throttle and hanging on for life, pretty much.
Toby's proved himself on the bike, but to push yourself, the risks take you far beyond your comfort zone. And in California, Toby's dream of winning the Dakar came close to finishing in one single moment.
I don't remember the actual crash. All I can remember feeling was just like a real hard thud. Next bit I pretty much remember was waking up on the roof of the hospital in a helicopter. Not knowing where I was, a bit dazed. Had the x-rays and scans. 4 or 5 doctors just pretty much barred through the door, getting massive panic stations, just going, do not move, stay completely still, you broke your neck. Screwed these bolts into my skull. No painkillers, no nothing. Put this bodysuit on me. I was left going, well, okay, what's next? The doctors pretty much just turned around and said, from after this accident, like, you won't be able to ride a dirt bike again.
When we first, came into the room and saw him, it was, pretty hard to take.
You sort of wanted to walk over and, pull it, off him and just say, this is a really bad dream. It was sort of like I was going to go back to that stage where I had Min in a wheelchair and now I was going to have Toby in a wheelchair. Toby said then, he said, I won't be in a wheelchair. And I said, well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, mate, and we'll go from there. And he said, I won't be in one.
Insurance issues meant that urgent surgery Toby needed would no longer be covered, with ongoing costs projected to reach $500,000. Toby's family were left with no choice but to make an incredibly dangerous journey back to Australia as soon as possible. With multiple fractures in Toby's spine, his future was literally hanging on by a thread.
14-hour flight, coming back from LA, caught a cab from airport to Brisbane Private Hospital.
Toby had an injury to his neck that was particularly bad. Toby had an unstable fracture at the base of his neck where his neck joins his chest, broke off, and you can imagine how far forward it went and then it sprung back. This is Toby's MRI scan. So here we can actually see the bottom of his brain and his spinal cord here, and there's the injury.
Dr. Lucinda, he had a look at Toby's discs and walked in. He said, I don't know what to say to you. He said, you should either be quadriplegic or dead. And I think Toby knew that this was close. We went to theatre and I went back in to see him the next morning, just as the physios were getting him out of bed. And he walked again. First thing he asked Dr. Lucinda when he walked in was when he could get back on the bike again.
He wanted to do everything possible to get himself out of that hospital so he could start racing again.
I just made sure I abided by what the doctor set out for me to do and what all the physio guys told me to do, and I wanted to be back with pretty much the family of motorcycle racing. Six months, I'd actually threw a leg back over a motorcycle. Wasn't able to race, wasn't allowed to do anything like that.
Which one do you?
I got to about the 8-month mark. That was that 2013 season. I'd kept in touch with Kurt. Kurt was like, I want you to come back over to America and race for us, but he said, you won't be racing the Baja 1000, but I was like, well, I'd love just to come back and support you guys. To get back over and see all them guys again, it was a good feeling. I felt like I was back part of a team. To see Kurt ready to go for the Baja 1000 was amazing. You could be having the worst day possible. As soon as he got around you, he took your mind off everything. 2 days before the race kicked off was my time to go riding with Kurt. Jumped on the bike, back to normal again. Kept looking back and I just kept sitting there with him, Unfortunately, that was the last time I rode with Kurt.
I enjoy racing these races and, not so much, championships always the main goal, but each race is different and it's kind of you look forward to each one.
I remember speaking to Kurt 4 or 5 hours prior to his section. I was just standing and waiting at the finish line. We had a pretty decent lead, and then all of a sudden, the bikes come to a stop. I was still too far to do anything or help, so basically all I had to do was just sit there and wait. Probably about 30 minutes later, they came back and said he was gone, and that was it. Man, that kicked in hard that day. Yeah, it shook the world pretty much. That was, hard to take. The worst bit was he had pretty much everything going for him that year. He'd signed his deal to go and do the rally. He just got engaged to his fiancée, Sarah. Everything was just in the right direction. If that was my situation, this is like what I'd put my family through. Like, I never really put it into place. You don't know when it's going to be, and it would have just been nice to really thank him a lot more. Still tears me up to this day to never get to see him again.
After the devastating loss of his mentor, Toby dealt with the tragedy the best way he knew how. Firmly focused on the ultimate goal of winning the Dakar, testing begins on the hot, dusty plains of Morocco.
This is our first road book for the day, so we're just loading up into the navigator here and we're getting ready to head out.
We start at 10 because
Italian time is 11:30.
1 minute. Hey, I'm ready. Ozzy, let's go. The skippy is ready.
I think to come to Morocco for training, it's the best situation similar of the Dakar.
The conditions there are pretty harsh. It was really dry and dusty there, so you couldn't see lines, you couldn't see nothing. We're trying to simulate leading stages out in big events.
In Dakar, the fastest rider from each stage is the first rider on course for the next day's racing, placing huge navigational pressure on the lead rider.
Every day was just road books. Road books, more road books and more road books.
The rally's cruelest trait is really highlighted season after season because you can have a sizeable lead that's evaporated like that by a navigational error.
In Dakar, the only way to let your riding stand out is to have a flawless navigation game.
So we're here now marking day 2's road book in Morocco. This for us is pretty much the most important part with the rally racing. Where you been?
No, this is wrong because the road book said before the river have to go left.
Yeah.
And this was after the river.
You go really... as soon as I hit the note, I'd find the cap, the number, and just go straight.
Got like a little bit of a system worked out. Green, go, flat out, fast. And he looks like the type of navigation turns. I mark in a blue. Dangers are I mark them in red. So here's like a crest of a hill that you're going to go across. So much to try and process. Symbols like this is it's kind of like a speed bump. Here's like a dip in the track. It's the most important part of the whole rally racing for us, that's for sure.
I don't even know where we are.
It's 11 p.m. in Eritrea.
It's 11 p.m. in Eritrea.
To come here all together for training is very important. We work as a team, and then also we train together.
The Dakar in South America tests both man and machine, reaching summits of almost 5,000 metres and temperatures from below zero to 45 degrees Celsius. The effects on the human body cannot be underestimated. Altitude training is an important part of preparation for the KTM team. It's training like this which has pushed them to be the most dominant team in the world.
That feels right at KTM. KTM, they've won 14 consecutive years. Now it's in our hands to try and get the 15th. I think there's nervous times with them. They're relying on us and they've got full faith in us. We're going to try our best to keep a KTM on that top step. Hopefully the training from Morocco, just getting out in the middle of those deserts and out in the middle of nowhere, hopefully all that training comes in handy.
With competitors from over 60 countries, the eyes of the world are on the race, with over 37 million viewers. And Toby enters the 2016 Dakar race having dealt with much personal adversity, but the ultimate desire to prove himself. The 2016 Dakar will depart from the capital of Argentina. After 13 long stages, 4,300 kilometres of special stage racing and a staggering 9,000 kilometres of total travel time on the bike, this year's champion will be crowned. Toby is entering the Dakar with a clear tactical plan.
I set my goals and my plans at not being close to the front for that first week. If you lead the stage out, you're pretty much nearly guaranteed to lose time over the rest of your competitors. Day one of the actual start of the Dakar rally, I kind of did a bit of a pace where I thought I would be inside that top 10. Crossing the finish line, looking across and seeing number one. Okay, tomorrow I've got to make the navigation calls.
Even for Price, with his she'll be right attitude, the pressure of leading out the most successful enduro team in history was building.
I looked down, it was saying 57 kilometres an hour. I went, and the next thing Ruben's just cruising by me. We took off this morning, opening the track. A couple of close calls with some cars and some people and animals killed my confidence a little bit.
After just 3 stages, Toby is down a significant 7 minutes and 4 seconds on the leader and in danger of falling out of the top 10.
The Dakar leaves Argentina behind and heads to Bolivia, and the high altitudes there are certain to test the riders on today's stage.
It was a long day, fairly warm. We started to get into some higher altitudes there. We got into the finish part of the stage and there was just thousands of people. We won, blew my theory out again that I didn't want to be near the front.
After the stage win, Toby was once again the first man out on the course for a mammoth 542-kilometre special stage.
"22 kilometres in, I hit a car."
I think your exhaust, on this side, you're back in.
Smashed it on that side there.
Hitting a car would slow most people down. Toby had not only started the stage first, but had pulled off the very rare feat of finishing first as well.
Challenging conditions ahead today because the course has riders heading straight into the sun.
The first 50 kilometres of this stage was really difficult because you were riding straight into the sun.
The sun at the first part was under us. When you look down, you show complete in the sun.
I got to the end of that special. I sat there and waited for like 12 minutes. I said to myself, something's not right.
Toby's main rival and rally leader, Paulo Gonçalves, stopped to check Toby's badly injured teammate and radio the emergency team for assistance.
I hit really bad the wall. It was like 70 k's. A front flip over the handlebar, and I think the handlebar broke my leg.
We're hearing that Walkner's broken his femur. This is a huge blow. That is his Dakar done.
Despite Gonçalves' earlier heroics, he would still finish ahead of Toby on the stage and extend his lead to over 3 minutes.
You can never get comfortable watching Dakar. It never seems like a certainty. Some absolute curveball can be thrown at the rider that changes the whole complexion of the competition.
It's a race that can change at the split second, wherever.
Oh, that's Gonçalves. He's down. This is a huge story, and for his Dakar chances.
Luckily not to be seriously injured, current leader and main rival Paulo Gonçalves lost valuable time following a crash. And with Toby winning the stage, he moved into first place overall. Australians were waking up to the news that an Aussie was leading the world's biggest rally race. With the event now very much into the business end, it was time to attack.
I told the team that, yeah, today was going to be a day I push. It was starting to get hot. It was really warm. It would have been about 42 degrees. Thought to myself, the quicker I get through this stage, the quicker I get out of this heat. Come across the line and had a camera in my face and we're like, oh, congrats, you've made the finish line, but yeah, the course has been stopped back at CP2. I think I had to bite my tongue and not really let fly what I really wanted to say.
Yeah, not too bad. Pretty happy.
Knowing Toby, he would have obviously been a slightly bit frustrated.
With temperatures nearing 48 degrees, event organisers called off the stage at the midway point. Unfortunately for Toby, he was the only rider to have passed the checkpoint and went on to complete a brutal 200 kilometres, more than any other rider in the searing heat.
I've done that now for no reason. Not only that, now my bike's more destroyed. The next day we still had to run on those same tyres. I think he's trying to rort me a little bit.
He would have just reset his game and got back on with the job and, yeah.
Even with the stage having been adjusted, Toby had blitzed the field by 12.5 minutes to earn the biggest overall lead in the Dakar so far.
The next few days, I kind of relaxed a little bit more. I was still pulling some time each day and on the guys I really needed to.
By now, the whole world was watching. Would Toby Price win the Dakar in just his second attempt?
I had every single person come up to me and said, oh, congratulations, you've won Dakar, you've won Dakar. And I'm like, no, it's not over yet. Surely you would have known you were going to win it back by 2-3 days earlier. And I was like, nah, not at all. Motorsport racing, anything can happen. I knew I didn't have to do anything really dumb. I cruised. I don't think I've ridden so slow too much in my life. I'm pretty sure I could push that bike 1 or 2 kilometres in that 37-minute lead that I had to still get to the finish line and win Dakar. To see that checkered flag was like the best feeling in the world. I could definitely tell that, yeah, back to being my sister and good friend Kurt, Yaselli, and everyone that had been a part of it. I knew they were over the top of me watching me.
This is unbelievable. What a comeback story from injury for Toby Price to win the greatest race on the planet.
The moment he crossed that line, I was literally crying, and I'm pretty sure his dad was. Pretty bloody epic journey.
2 years ago, I definitely wouldn't have thought I would have been doing this.
What makes that story even more remarkable is that he was coming back from an injury that should have finished him. It should have finished his career.
All the hard work has finally paid off.
I think it took Mark Coma, as I remember right, maybe 7 or 8 years to be on the podium. Well, it took Toby not too long, I have to say.
We did it. It's still, yeah, it's emotional just to know couldn't share this win with Kurt or my sister. Hopefully that's just the beginning of hopefully more to come. Definitely never home too much, but yeah, at the end of the day, when I'm 60, 70 years old, I'm going to have plenty of time to spend at home. Welcome home, Felix. Yeah, I just think to myself, while ever I can, do as much as I possibly can. See what the world brings. I like to explore the world as fast as possible, I guess.
Toby will always race as long as his body can move. I don't think you ever stop him from racing some form of motorsport. He loves it that much.
Yeah, this is where the fun begins. This is what I get to do on my days off, so this is good. I'm loving it. Come on, mate. Helping you out here.